Hello, YouTubers. You know, I'm not a silver expert. I'm just an investor, and I'm a believer in honest money. And I believe that rather than pieces of paper from the Federal Reserve, bits of metal are more honest. But I decided to make the video today to talk about information, disinformation, and propaganda. You know, after our little victory over Osama bin Laden, and now I have no doubt that his successor will try to outdo him, and other events around the world, I was amazed about the headlines regarding our tiny little silver correction. Most notably, really no real news agency, either now or in the past, discusses the fundamentals of what we're doing and why we invest in silver. And I have no doubt in my mind that our small YouTube community fully understands the rationale behind why we love our white metal and our yellow metal. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about the value of the dollar, the actions of the Federal Reserve Bank, central banks in general, manipulation of this tiny precious metals market, or even a study on the obviously stellar price actions on silver in the past 5 to 10 years. Rather, I'm going to say check out the headlines. The headlines speak for themselves. Reuters. Look at that. Gold off record. Silver slides on bin Laden. Really? Is that why it's happening? Is that really why silver sold off? How can they mention a silver slide without mentioning the new reserve requirement increase of like 75%? And an explanation that the market basically can't efficiently borrow money to speculate in silver as opposed to the other commodities. Shouldn't that be the headline? Not 5 paragraphs in? And we got the Bloomberg. Bloomberg basically got it right with a very short, factual, and brief article. No real analysis, though. And they call these sales investor sales instead of speculators exiting on a margin increase. How much explanation is required to say that people would rather sell at a profit than pony up more dough to cover the increase? That's just one sentence in this tiny little article that's never going to be there. Forex Live did a decent little article with a summary about current events. Bin Laden's dead. Silver falls 10% on margin requirements, but the headline is quite telling. Silver fall rallies U.S. dollar. I thought the mainstream news rejected the connection between silver's price action and the falling U.S. dollar. They're saying everything is all right, no problem here. I find it interesting here to see it actually in the headline. Oh, I see. Forex Live is hardly mainstream. So I guess we'll have to try the Wall Street Journal. Spot silver drops 12% in 11 minutes as bulls are routed. Wow, you know what? I might actually take some time and read the article to you a little bit. Sydney. Spot silver suffered one of its most severe drops on record early Monday as bulls who've driven the metal up to 31-year-old records failed to carry it above the $48 a troy ounce and were routed in a headlong collapse. The metal fell just 12% in just 11 minutes when the fall was its most severe. Spot silver saw its informal open at 47.863 per ounce before rising to 48.15. It then sold off sharply to a base of 42.21 before stabilizing. The move down is the first break in an extraordinary run for silver, which has more than doubled in price the past 6 months as investors bet on rising prices from renewed industrial demand, and as a cheap safe haven alternative to gold. From a low of $8.45 in October of 2008, silver first doubled to $17.96 in late August, before doubling again to a peak last Monday of $49.83. Jonathan Barrett, Director of Commodity Broking Services in Sydney, said the sell-off repudiated bulls who were suspected of driving the price up to sell their own positions at a profit. It looked like a market play. Both the precious metal opened up very well bid, and I think people decided that some people who wanted to see silver go higher were the ones buying it up. Well, isn't that always the case, by the way? Silver suffered years of weakness in the 1990s as one of the main demand drivers for the metal, photographic film, went into decline with the rise of digital photography. Some analysts have begun to argue that industrial demand for the metal could now rise significantly thanks to new uses of silver in photovoltaic solar panels, but the most recent spike in prices is put down more to the general rush for safe haven assets at a time of uncertainty in the global economy. Wow, that was buried deep in there. Silver's rise has come as gold, the price of which rose dramatically during 2010, has come toward a top. Really? leading some analysts to argue that investors saw better potential in a metal that had previously failed to match gold's performance. It has also been the center of arguments that Wall Street banks had been suppressing the price of silver through short selling, and that the current price rise was caused by the same banks buying large volumes of silver to escape the so-called short squeeze. The U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission has long rejected such claims, but an investigation of the claims was launched in 2008, and last October, Commissioner Bart Chilton said in a statement that there had been repeated attempts to influence the prices in silver markets. Spot gold dropped less dramatically Monday, but saw a relatively savage sell-off, losing 2.2% in just over half an hour from a peak of 1576. Precious metals, such as gold and silver, rarely move more than 1% over the course of a day. And then he goes on to talk about the move being helped by a thin market, Asian trade, and some information about a little bit there's a little bit more information in the article, but I think that it just about covered it. I don't like to normally read news articles into YouTube, but I think it's important. You know, even right-wing conservative-minded media is also propaganda. You know, there really wasn't a true explication of the monetary problem as a backdrop of demand. For example, the Chinese citizens are encouraged to buy silver as money, and that is significant. Bulls in the USA and those who disagree with the Fed and monetization are also buying it as money. Not to develop film, and not really on industrial demand drivers, but it's nice to have them in the market. I like silver because it is honest money, unlike Federal Reserve notes. That's why it is so darn resilient. Even in a quote-unquote rout after a spectacular rise in prices, silver and gold only fell to prices from like last week. That's a rout? That's last Monday's price. It's unreal, and I suggest we all keep on stacking and have a great day.